Hello folks, today's date is July 17th, 2025, and I'm about to make my way over to the Central Ohio Model Railroad Club, but for a very specific reason. As many of you probably know, ScaleTrains.com is going to be paying us a meet and greet today, and here's what I'm going to be bringing with me to represent the brand. Most of the stuff that's in the big Craftsman box are unfortunately not ScaleTrains products. However, the locomotives that I'm going to be taking with me, which are the CSX and GECX Tier 4s, the Norfolk Southern -9, and the patched C39-8, that is what I'm going to be using to represent the brand today. So let's go ahead and go over to the train club and hopefully give these guys some track time before ScaleTrain shows up later this afternoon. Alrighty folks, I just pulled in about 45 minutes to an hour ago. Time check is 12:42 p.m. And so far, as of right now, all things are pretty quiet here at the train club as well as on the actual railroads just across the street. However, that is not going to be the case when it comes to 5-6 o'clock this afternoon. So let's go ahead and get some track time with the ScaleTrains products, and I'll catch back up with you in a little bit.
took them off, ran it empty up to Cincinnati, then they just changed everything about it.
Time check, everyone. It is 4:57 p.m. Things are starting to wrap up, and we're starting to put all the ScaleTrains products from various club members that are here tonight to witness the event out on the layout. And ScaleTrains will be here in about an hour or so, so I'll check back in with you once again when they get here.
TSX of no grounds. The one that's all weathered up.
You'll see those sitting on the table today. It's all up in the cloud. But this drawing here, this is the turbine drawing. It's literally 18 feet long and has the major dimensions: length, width, truck centers, coupler heights, all that kind of stuff. But to get those really minute details, that's why we have the books. That's why we went to Ogden and we went to the Illinois Railway Museum to get all the small things. And what we'll do is we'll compile all that information in what like to call the Holy Grail. It's a big spreadsheet. And for the turbine, it's really not that hard, right? It's 30 road numbers. PD loves it when I say it's not really that hard, but in the whole scheme of things, it's not crazy. And they were delivered in road numbers 1 through 7 and 8 through 30. They were delivered in the late 50s. They were gone by 1970. And literally across every column there, you'll see everything from armrests to horns to dynamic brakes, you name it. It's all listed all the way across the top. And we'll go down the column road number by road number and map all that out. Well, there were some pretty big changes in the mid-60s. They increased the fuel tank capacity on the A unit. They added grab irons to the nose on the first 7, moved the horn back, added some shutters, those kind of things. So you have to go back and remap everything. And then once they were retired, went to the museums, we went and looked at it again, because you got to know how it looked when it went to the museum. Well, that's on a pretty straightforward project. Let's talk about an SD40-2. You know, a 40-2 has been out since the early 70s. And BN was the biggest owner. They ordered something like 700 or 800, and over many, many orders, a lot of different variations. Well, if you could imagine, when they were as delivered, they would have came in groups, and the group would have been pretty similar, so you can look at it as a full group, but maybe when they went to whiteface, they start changing the details. So now you got to start looking at it road number by road number. When I talk about needing photos, we have to have walk-around photos of that locomotive as well as the roof, because you got to see how everything's changing, how it's morphing over the years. Different parts of the country see different locomotives, freight cars, those kind of things, so you never know when you might stumble upon something you might need. Once we finish that research package, then it's on to design, and this is our design team actually in mainland China. We have 6 full-time design engineers plus their manager, Benny. This is Benny here. He's working on an ES44, but it works the same for anything. You'll notice all the different colors. Every color is an individual part. Every single one of those parts is hand assembled. For a locomotive, you're looking at about 250 to 300 parts. And then we can do cutaways. You can see like the gear train. You can see the dynamic brakes in the top left. You can see where the speakers are. One of the big things that we do right there in the middle, that square, that's the motor. And you'll notice it actually sits down in the fuel tank. And we did that by design, because if you look at the drive shafts, they're almost perfectly straight. That means you're going to get more energy out to the gear tower. It's going to give you a little bit more pulling power. Other manufacturers are going to lose some energy because they're at an angle. And then once we finish on the engineering side, then it's off to tooling. So we start with the CNC process, and we do hardened steel on all the ScaleTrains projects. Other manufacturers, some of the folks we've acquired do aluminum. Aluminum is a lot less expensive, but the challenge with aluminum is the mold opens and closes. It's going to heat up, and eventually that mold is going to distort and need cleanup. So steel is pretty much going to outlive us. And then as we get to the really fine detail, we have to cut copper electrodes. That's what's happening here. And then this is the first part of the SD45 project. There are 7,000 copper electrodes that were created for that. There's 5,000 here on the floor. We're working on the second group of tooling, which is going to be another 7,000 plus copper electrodes. And this is how they're used. You'll notice that little arm that's going up and down. It's passing an electric current down through the copper electrode into the steel tool. It's literally burning the design right into the steel. Now here's the crazy thing. If you look at like a big blow turbine, you look at the ladders on the tender, there's dimples inside. Those dimples are rivets. It can take 3 to 5 copper electrodes to burn in one rivet detail factory. And all this robot does is it's going to come over, in this case it's going to pick up an underframe, bring it over and deposit it in a bin box. Everything else is done by hand, so most of the machines are ran by an operator. This gentleman here is doing C39-8 bodies. You're going to see him take a look at it. He's looking at what's called a short shot, meaning the plastic didn't flow like it should. If it didn't, that body will be scrapped and ground up and reused. And then from there it goes to subassembly, and then it's on to paint. You'll notice we're painting one by one, and we're using an automotive style gun with water-based colors. We don't airbrush, right? Airbrush would take way too long in the manufacturing process. Everything's set out to dry. Now this is just crazy. So imagine a big wire rack, like a baker's rack, and you see these strips that are on it, as Michelle hit the button too fast. What that is masking tape, and it's sticky side up, and in this case it's horns, and literally somebody, one by one, is putting every horn on that big grate. So if you ever got a model, and you're looking at the body, and you're looking at the detail parts, and the colors don't match, ever happened to you? Yeah, I see some heads nodding. What that means is they weren't painted at the same time. It's like painting your house, right? You don't start painting your bedroom, do a couple gallons, run out and go buy another gallon because it's probably not going to match. It has different colors on the logo. And as it goes across here, you'll see Mount Rushmore come into view with the first 5 colors. And she'll take it off the jig, put another one on, and she's going to grab a magnifying glass. Have you ever got a model and it's multicolored and you're looking at the logos and they're kind of fuzzy around the edges? I see some heads nodding. That means it's not what's called a register. So what she's doing is she's making sure all 5 of those colors laid on top of each other perfectly. Now the crazy part is that's got to go to another machine and get more colors on it, and those have to lay on perfectly. If it doesn't print right, that body has to be scrapped, the machine recalibrated, and they have to start over.
Alrighty, folks, I just got back from the Model Railroad Club about 20 minutes ago, and before I let you guys go for tonight, I wanted to quickly show you what was offered in the gift bag ScaleTrains was passing out during the meet and greet. It was mainly promotional material for companies like NMRA, Virtual Railfan, as well as their own brand with pins, stickers, cards, magazines, and other promotional materials, so this is pretty cool. Subscribe and like the video for more, and to Shane and the entire ScaleTrains crew, we were really glad to have you guys at our club, and we hope that the meet and greet experience was a good one, because it definitely was for us. Anyways, that's all for now, and have a good night.